Here's what I want to give you. Clarity on where your family is actually going, not just financially, as a unit. A simple framework to get everything that's been in your head out of your head, and a way to stop carrying this alone and start leading with confidence instead of that stress. And tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to build a family constitution that actually works in real life. This isn't about getting rich. This isn't about working harder, doing more. And it's definitely not about adding another thing to your plate. It's about finally having a frame, a decision matrix for the weight you're already carrying. Because I've been where you are. This is what's kept me up at night. Doing the things right, providing, protecting, grinding, and then laying awake wondering at night, like, if something happened to me, what's going to happen to my family? Are they going to be okay? And this question is why I built what I'm going to show you today. Let me talk to you for a second. Not the group, not the chat, not the crowd. You. Quick question. How many of you feel like you're the one everyone depends on? And if you don't handle it, it just doesn't happen. And how many of you have ever thought, I'm doing everything I can, so why does this still feel heavy? If that's you, I want you to know something right away. I'm glad you're here, as always, seriously, because men and women who show up to conversations like this aren't weak. They're responsible. And responsibility, when it doesn't have structure, turns into pressure, turns into chaos. It turns into anxiety. And today, and over the next few days, here's what I want to give you. Clarity on where your family is actually going, not just financially, but as a unit. A simple framework to get everything that's been in your head out of your head, and a way to stop carrying this alone and start leading with confidence instead of that stress. And tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to build a family constitution that actually works in real life. Now, let me be clear with something up front here. This isn't about getting rich. This isn't about working harder, doing more. And it's definitely not about adding another thing to your plate. It's about finally having a frame, a decision matrix for the weight you're already carrying. Because I've been where you are. This is what's kept me up at night. Doing the things right, providing, protecting, grinding, and then laying awake wondering at night, like, if something happened to me, what's going to happen to my family? Are they going to be okay? And this question is why I built what I'm going to show you today and this weekend. And if you lean in, especially through all 3 days, you're going to see how this turns into a living system your family can actually follow, another family member. So let's start with the part that no one talks about. Let's jump into this. If you're the one responsible in your house, you know the weight. You're expected to figure it out, to provide, to make it work, no matter what. And there's no rule book that shows us how to do this. And you're in this position not because you wanted control, it's because someone has to lead. And most days, you're carrying that alone. You're not failing. You're not behind. You're just holding too much by yourself. After 3,000, 4,000 calls, the question I want to have each of you sitting with tonight is simple. How long can everything depend on you, solely you, before something breaks? Because this isn't about money yet. It's about responsibility without structure. I love this little graphic here. So let me tell you how you got here, because it wasn't reckless. I know many of you, and you did what responsible people do. I've had long conversations. You followed what your parents did, what your coworkers suggested, what your employer offered, what your advisor told you to do, maybe what your spouse told you to do. You prayed on it and you trusted it because that's what you believed you were supposed to do. But here's the one question that no one's ever asked you. Where are you actually going? Not your net worth, not your rate of return, not your gross income, your family. What is all this effort supposed to turn into for your spouse, for your kids, for the people who come after you, for the people who look up to you? Most people, myself included for years, have never answered that. They just keep working and it becomes a pattern. Remember how we talk about we don't have money problems, we have money patterns. We also have patterns throughout every aspect of our life. Just keep work, work, work. Like I said, after talking to thousands and thousands of people, that one pattern shows up all the time. And it's not about income, like I said. It shows up whether you're a W-2 earner, a small business owner, an entrepreneur doing well on paper. The problem is never effort, especially here in the States. Not with this group, not with you guys. The problem isn't effort. It's this: no guide, no plan, no destination. So you work harder, you earn more, you stay busy, and you feel stuck, scared, chaotic even. Because hard work without direction doesn't create freedom, it creates burnout, it creates exhaustion. Exhaustion turns into anger and it's ugly and it's not legacy. It's not how we want people to see us. Does that resonate? I feel that. Do you feel that? And here's the quiet truth that I ran away from and most people won't say out loud. You handle the money, you absorb the stress, you make it happen over and over and over again. Your family spends, you produce. Your family spends, you produce. Your family spends, and you produce. And it's not because anyone is selfish, it's because there's no shared system, a language, a communication. And I want you to hear this clearly. That's not failure, that's isolation. And isolation is dangerous because it means if you stop, everything stops, which leads to a question no one wants to ask. So we're smashing, right? We're liking, we're subscribing to the channel. Lots of you are watching the content every week, and I'm so blessed to have your attention, to have your greatest resource. But make sure you're spreading this message. People need to know this is an uncommon path. What we're teaching, it's how to pause, think, and apply. So smash, like, subscribe, get alerted to new content, and let's keep on keeping on. What happens if nothing changes? This repeats year after year after year. We're in the beginning of the new year. We're all dreaming of that big goal, that big dream, what our future self has. But if we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, when everything depends on one person, on you, the pattern doesn't end. It repeats the same stress, the same confusion, the same dependence. And one day, all that effort disappears. And not because you failed, but because there was nothing to carry it forward. Money alone will never create legacy. It'll disappear within a few generations, if not by the next generation. Direction solves this, which brings us to the real solution, which brings us to what kept me awake for countless nights, just thinking, wonderful, the first Sipple to create multimillionaires in the future, guaranteed. So with that guarantee comes great responsibility. I didn't want to have entitled children, entitled men, entitled grandchildren. And I hear all the time from a lot of people on these calls, well, Jason, this is for the folks not practice our specially engineered whole life, but I hear all the time, Jason, I don't need to leave more. What I built, the business, my home, my cars, my assets, it's enough. That's really just a big mess if you don't have a plan waiting to be left for when you're not here. I would call that not enough. Directly, that is not a plan. That is hoping, thinking that, hey, I worked hard to get here, and you're not thinking about the blessings you leave for that next generation. What we're establishing here is the family freedom framework. And this is, like I said, this is why we built our family GPS. We bootstrapped this thing. We found brilliant partners to work with. This is not a document. It's not a binder. It's not a paper that goes in a drawer that you write down in your notebook. You know how many notebooks I have that I write down amazing things in them and then they go away. I've tried notebooks. I've tried note card systems. I've got note cards all over my desk. I've tried stickies. I don't know what your preferred method of tracking everything that's in your brain is, but I've tried everything over the last 10 years. Notes seem to be the best thing on my phone, but still not a way to stay organized. It's not as something that ends with you because it's just in your system. But as a living system, as a family member, this is like introducing a new family member into this simple powerful framework. And the framework is called the Family Freedom Framework. I've shared this with you in the past, and it's simple, right? Like anything, like my last name, it's got to be simple. Otherwise, you'll move past it. You'll be frustrated. It'll just add more pressure to your life. This is like the big red Staples easy button. This is where your family's identity, the values, and the direction live. It's not in your head. The frame of the Family Freedom Framework, that's the first level. That's your foundation. It's like your specially engineered whole life, your banking system that's given you back control, that's given you guarantees, that's made sure that you're not only using all the living benefits, but you're also leaving future generations so much more enabled and powerful and ready than your start. You're leaving them at a starting, they got to run halfway around the track, and you did that for them. That's something to be proud of, right? And that frame is Constitution. The Constitution is where the family's identity lives, where the values live, where the direction is. It tells you what you stand for, what you stand against, and it's no longer in your head. It's no longer this idea, because everything's created twice in the world, once in our heads and our imagination, and what we can create in God's image of powerful, powerful people, and then once in reality. So out of your head, no longer implied, written, shared, clear, lived daily. And then the fortification is the trust. This makes your words, your document, your living document, legal. And when that direction is clear, your spouse isn't guessing. Your kids aren't confused. Connor said to me yesterday when I asked him, what do you think our family GPS is? What do you think this is for? He said, Dad, it's just, if I don't know what to do, I can go here and look and find out what to do. And I was like, oh my God, how simple, how perfect is that answer? And that's his thinking. That's not a coach thinking. That's not him repeated, my specially engineered policy does this, this, and this. That is, the decisions are no longer emotional. Dad's no longer here. Mom's no longer here. We have this situation. What do we do? Oh, we've talked about this over the years. We've looked at this. We've made sure that they have that clear vision, the values. What do we stand for? What do we stand against? And most importantly, the action steps, the systems and processes. And then finally, the third part of the Family Freedom Framework, right? We've got the frame, which is the Constitution. This is the big part that our family GPS solves for. Then you're going to find that estate planning attorney for the trust, and that's someone that'll be during the second VIP session this coming weekend. And then from there, once that's legal in the future, this is where you start having the flourish. This is when you graduate, that inevitable day. You're no longer here. You've shuffled off, to be Shakespearean, you've shuffled off this mortal coil. You're no longer here. The death benefit multiplies the wealth because of your thinking. And when you're no longer here, the structure remains. One system stays. One of your heirs steps in. They've already been groomed to be the next leader. There's no guessing. There's no starting over. There's limited confusion, clear directions. That's what legacy actually looks like. Inside our family GPS, this becomes a private, secure family space, one that grows as your family grows. And tomorrow, I'm going to show you exactly how this works. No more theories. It's going live. It will be live. No more concepts. A structure that you and yours can actually use. Let me bring this back to you. If everything in your family depends on you right now, that's not leadership failure. That's leadership without a frame. And the truth is, you were never meant to carry this alone, to have that burden by yourself. And to choose a different path, the uncommon path, we're going to do something different. And we're not just talking about theory. We're not chasing motivation. We're building structure, a living, breathing structure. And I'll walk you through how to do this step by step, how to create your family constitution, how to run your family retreat. Not only the structure, but what you're going to share. Not something that sounds good, because our family, our kids, our spouses won't respond to that, but something your spouse understands, something your kids can follow and your family can rely on. And then we're going to show you how to lock all that into our family GPS. So that direction no longer lives in your head. That vision doesn't disappear when you're tired, stressed, or not in the room. So here's the invitation. Go to Our Family GPS, check out the site, do the free leadership test, and make sure that no matter what, you want to start taking action. Because what happens if you're no longer here? Because if everything depends on you today, this is how you make sure it doesn't always have to. So as always, grateful for your time, grateful for your most valuable resource, your energy and your focus. I know it's a premium these days, but this is the uncommon path. Congratulations for you for being here and taking the left, the harder way instead of the easy way. But down the line, this will pay off. You won't have entitled kids. You'll have empowered kids with directions, decisions, systems, and processes that you'll build with them over the rest of your living life now, and then for generations to come, long past our time here. That's why this was built, Our Family GPS. So as always, thank you for being here. Smash, like, and subscribe so you can be alerted to new content. I'm going to see you in this next video up here. Don't miss it. We're going to keep teaching, showing, guiding how you can take action. Because at the end of the day, let's just be like Nike and just do it. Be blessed.